Hello. You're muted.
I'm
There you go.
muted. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard the Tabletop Express. My name is Chris Barrows. I'm here with my co-conductor, Ryan Espin, and we got to apologize because we got so excited that we swapped two dates on our calendar.
Yep.
And Liz, who was supposed to be joining us, won't be here on this video, but we're going to bring her back for one of the next two videos that we do for our top 20 series. So our apologies to Liz. We were so super excited to have her on. But I know we'll have her back for one of those next two. So
Definitely.
yeah. Ryan, as we get going with this, I just want to say this was a process.
Tell me about it. What happened?
Yeah, no, this was a process though to make this list. Liz is here. We have some tears. Yeah, tears are those are like not
Like
crying as much as laughing.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. I going through this list and creating it, I had not, for the record, made a list before. So making a list wasn't like a thing I had done. I didn't really rank my stuff on Board Game Geek. So for me, a lot of this was really interesting to do. It was a whole different experience. And I challenged myself. I did like comparisons where I was like testing this versus this versus that.
Yeah.
Then I went back to my Board Game Geek ranking. So I went across a spectrum of ways, and I came across my top 20. But this is my question.
Yes, let's hear it.
How many crossovers? Because there will be at least one, I promise. How many crossovers do you think you and I have? Because you were the first video that we did.
I am gonna go with 2.
2.
I'm gonna go with 2 on that.
Okay. 2 is a fair number. 2 is a fair number.
That was an even number.
Yes, a nice even number. We may or may not be accurate. As people chime in, by the way, today, feel free to kind of participate along the way as we get towards the end. Chance, if you want to drop your top 5, if you haven't shared it before, some of you may have if you were here for Ryan's video, but we're gonna have a chance. I got some great tweets in once again. Some new people chimed in, by the way, Ryan, with their top 5. So we'll hit on those. So more top 5s.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to yours.
I'm excited. So I'm happy to jump right into this. I'm kind of excited just because, again, when you do something for the first time, I think it's just, there's always something exciting about that. And in this particular case, I can jumpstart this one by talking about my number 20. My number 20 was Quacks of Quedlinburg. So why number 20? First, let me kind of get this out of the way. Quacks of Quedlinburg is a...
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Coaster.
You can tell who was in charge of the comments right there. So Quacks of Quedlinburg, Ryan, I got to tell you, I think I've told you this before. I've never won this game. Not once. I've played this 15 times. I have never actually taken victory. If you actually see in the one picture there, we were playing it over Zoom, so it's a very zoomable game, which I think is great. But this is a game where you are trying to kind of sell these quote unquote potions to people, and you're trying to mix these potions, and you're collecting goods, putting them in your bags, and trying to essentially hopefully get lucky as you draw out, and hopefully your potion doesn't explode. It's a fun game that I can get to the table with anyone. It is a game that people have some good laughs with, and I find it's worked with a mix of people. So it's not just a board gamer who plays board games all the time. I can get it to the table with mostly everyone, especially the base game is very straightforward. I usually play with the base in the first expansion. I have the second expansion. Love this game. I will play this on repeat, but I would like to win this year.
So I've only actually I played this many times, but I've only played with the base spells because the game comes with different spells within
Yep.
there, right? You can change the spell books. I've only done the base spells. Because usually when I'm playing it, it's usually introducing someone brand new. Um, and yeah, this is a game that I was expecting to see on your list. I'm excited that it's at number 20 for sure.
It's a good. Don't get me wrong. I like
Yeah.
this game. I like Quacks, but as much as I like Quacks, Quacks wasn't like a top 10 type thing. I didn't push your luck um as much as I enjoy it. It's not my highest priority game.
Yeah.
So I as much as I enjoy it, like I could tell you it's not on the list. I'll just tell everybody right now. It's not on the list, but like we played on the live stream when we were pretending we were trying to get Willy Wonka's chocolate bars. And a
Mm.
game like that, uh a blast, but no, it's just
No,
so much
I
luck
agree with you.
involved.
Quacks is better than that one for sure.
Yeah. So
You know.
but Quacks again, if you look at this game, I will just say it looks great on the table. You can buy the bits from Board Game Geek that look great. I don't own them, but they look great, so I want them. But it makes it like a $300 game, I feel like. So I don't know if that's necessary.
Yeah, they're
But
pricey.
but yeah, yeah. But that's Quacks of Quedlinburg. That is my number 20. And
Nice.
my wife and son are
We're off
potentially
to a good
watching.
start. I like that game.
Yeah,
We're off to a good start.
my wife and son are probably watching this. They've both won multiple times.
Nice.
By the way, Mr. Coaster points out, I like Quacks, but I love Cubitos. And here's the thing, I haven't played that.
Yeah.
So for me, I've heard that and I need to play it because I've heard that comparison. And I think it's a fair comparison based on the reviews I've seen. But again, I don't want to speak to it because I haven't played it. So it might do it for me.
I haven't tried Cubitos yet. Is it Cubitos? Cubitos? It's not Cubitos. No one
It's
calls
not.
it
I think it's
Cubitos.
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 Yeah, but look, that's my number 20. I got a great number 19, in my opinion, but it's much lower than it used to be. So it would have been higher, but I have not got to play this game in like a year and a half. I kept it on the list just so you know, because I can't. I played it online once. It's not the same experience, but because of COVID, it wasn't realistic. And that is Clans of Caledonia. This one is a beauty. I love some of the mechanics of this game and the fact that the economy is constantly changing, which I really enjoy. When you make a move, you completely impact the economy. As you expand and upgrade, you can place pieces farther apart from each other, and there's a variety of ways that you can score. And so for me, Clans of Caledonia just hits so many marks. It's the first probably of, I guess you could say, heavier games on this, though there's going to be a wide mix, I can tell you.
Okay.
But the economy is what does it for me in this one. It's a beautiful game, just straight out of a box from a retail experience. You don't need upgrades to make this one look gorgeous. And gameplay wise, yeah, you can. Gameplay wise, I think it offers a lot, and the replayability of it's high. So this one's on my list. I will tell you, if I don't get a chance to play this year, I could easily see this kind of falling off in that time span, but it's always going to be fighting to be in my top 20. There's no question.
This might be a good candidate then for our future game series. Change my mind, because I am on the very lower end of rating of this game.
Yep.
So I'm happy to try that out. I know there's a big fan base for this game. I see, Ryan in the chat saying that Clans of Caledonia is so good. And yeah, I
think this one is well designed, because you do have these goals. You're trying to kind of fill these orders. You're trying to exchange, get your goods, the moving economy where, sometimes you can really double down by making a move, and that helps you and then affects someone else. And so it's a very strategic game, but there's like 7 or 8 different actions that you can take on any given turn, until you decide to pass, by the way. And when you pass, the sooner you pass, the more you're getting from a advantage into the next round. So I do like that, the way they strike that balance. So I don't know. I love this one. I am happy to bring this table. I do think if your first experience with this is playing with 2 people, that's where I tell people play with 3 or 4. I do think it plays better at that number.
I've
I
never
believe I've
played
played it
beyond
with
2 people, so
yeah,
that's a
I've
good
played it
point.
with 4 when
Yeah.
I've played it. So 4 and 3. I've tried it with 2. It was okay. I don't know, but I love it at 2. But that is my number 18. My
19.
That was my number 19. Number 18 is one that I actually only recently added to this list. There's going to be some newer ones on this. And this one I did not expect, just so everyone knows. Like, this was a change I made in the past 2 days. So this is really fresh. It may not surprise you, though, when you actually see what it is. And that is Rolling Realms.
Whoa.
I got to explain why. But first, let me explain what Rolling Realms is. It came through. This was essentially created during the pandemic as a print and play, where you could explore all these realms from the Stonemaier Games universe in these really different ways, just with a pair of dice and print it out. And they continued with this game and made a physical version, which has really well done roll and write sheets that you can erase, dry erase, very high quality. But the way this game has been built, and the reason I love it so much, is it's evolved and expanded with community content, with these big, nice, chunky dice on top of all of that. And the ease and play of it is just so good. I also play this solo. You could see here in the photo to the left, by the way, is my daughter playing with me. She's not really playing. She's writing numbers up, but she's the one who rolls the dice when we play. So there's been some joy in that. I can do this. She gets some fun out of that. But the way this game expanded beyond the Stonemaier universe and with all these other additions has been so cool. This is one that may not stay on the list. This may kind of tailor off a little bit. Yeah. But with that said, I don't know for sure because the world is expanding. And with the world expanding for it, it could also move up. I don't know. So this one is in a weird space where I don't know how long it's going to be here. But right now I can say this is in my top 20. And it's one that we can easily play. I just give you a few cards and we can play because I'll roll some dice and we're good to go.
Yeah, I haven't played this one yet, but I do want to ask about the themes because you're saying it's part of the Stonemaier extended universe. And in terms of like theme, how does that work? It's just like, hey, this is the Wingspan board, and these are the different spots of the board on Wingspan. Like how, like
it's thematically they all make sense to their games. So for example, in Wing, I believe the Wingspan board is you're collecting certain dice to reach a number on those ones, and they have to like add up to the number. Scythe, the Scythe board is really neat because you've got top action and bottom actions that you can complete, much like the game Scythe. So they've been evolved and they're very thematic to each game. And that's why the custom content has been so cool. If you look on the Facebook group online, there's a Facebook group for Rolling Realms, and people are constantly creating new content for it that you can print out and add, and then, kind of add into the game yourself. Not to mention, they are adding more and more official content. So the game continues to evolve. And then, as Ryan noted, if Libertario will add a realm, I'm sure that's in the process. I didn't check his latest stream, but that's got to be a thing, because when you order that game, you can order a bunch of the other promo realms. And he said he's going to keep making these. So they're going to all be available whenever you order a game. But I would say, yeah, it's as I think Mr. Coaster puts it well here. It's really cool how the mini games for each realm feel properly thematic to their game. And that's really putting it best. They do feel like they fit the universe and the game that you are talking about. So,
and it's only Stonemaier games. They're not licensing out to other stuff at the moment. I mean, because you said there's a fan community that's making
correct
whatever they want.
Yeah, but again, I don't know how. But Jamie's been obviously on that end been all about it, saying like, yeah, make it, let's keep it going. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think it's been a supportive community. It's similar to the game Voyages. That's a print and play that I've really enjoyed recently, where that community completely opened up and the designers gave out the assets to the game and said, all right, make some maps. Let's
Yeah.
have fun. So, yeah. Also, by the way, there are hexagonal pips on the dice, which is pretty neat.
A good touch.
But yeah, that is Rolling Realms. Again, a little bit different. I actually didn't anticipate adding that. This was only, like I said, in the last day or so that I did. So
we'll have to play this.
Yeah, no, that was my number 18. My number 17 is one I don't know that I've talked a ton about, but I constantly I've played this game a lot on Yukata, I believe it is. I really love this game. There's a big box version of this coming out, if that hints to anything. And I'm very excited about it. And that is Port Royal.
Mm-hmm.
This game is one that if you said, hey, want to play Port Royal? Yeah, immediately. And it's towards the back end. I don't think I mean that as an insult, but maybe I'm not thinking about it all the time, but this is the kind of game that even if I'm not thinking about it in some mentions I want to play, you're trying to accomplish kind of the end game objective in this game. But as you are, what's great about this game is cards are coming out. So you're trying to accomplish things by getting the right cards, which give you certain capabilities, improve your ability to do certain things with the cards coming out. But what's really cool is that middle row, you have ships coming out, and if 2 ships of the same color were to come out, then essentially there's a bust, but the other players in the game are still getting a card. And even so, the longer the cards come out, the more options there are for your opponents to potentially take a card on that turn. But there's other cards in there. The great thing about this game is there's a card, for example, that if you get 5 cards out, you get an extra gold piece, or you get some other advantage. And so this is a game that, like a lot of Fisters, has a ton of iconography. So once you learn it, you're going to love it. You may not get it in the first game. I'm the first to say. You may be saying, what's that one? Double checking it. But this game plays pretty quick. I mean, I for the most part, with 3 people, 4 people, you can get through a game in 45 minutes. I find with people who know how to play the game, it's easy to carry with you. It's not that big. Now, the big box, that'll be a different story. That's going to be a little bit larger, but that's coming with a lot of the expansions and some stuff that we could not get prior. I think one of them was only available in Europe, and I couldn't get it before. There's a few different versions of art for this one as well, because it was produced by a few different places. But in the end, this game, a blast. It plays very well on Yukata, by the way. I do say.
Yeah, let's play it. I'm ready.
Yeah,
forget and the top 20. Let's go.
Yeah, no, we can. And I will say this one. I am a sucker for pirate stuff, but I think this is the only piratey one or shippy one in here. But if I'm incorrect, I will correct myself later. But yeah, that's Port Royal. I don't know. You haven't played Port Royal, have you?
I haven't played it. It is a Fister I haven't played. But I do want to play it for sure. And if it is on Yukata, I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't play this. You know?
Yeah, and Liz is right. Again, we are really bummed because when you screw up on something, you own it, right? And we were so excited to have Liz here. So I promise you everyone's going to see Liz with either Brian or Danielle's video, because we're going to make that happen. But Liz is right. This is a great filler. And I do think the fillers have a great place in my heart, because I like the idea, just to kind of put this out there, I like the idea of playing 3 or 4 games in a night, sometimes over one big one. And as much as I like one big one, I like doing that. Sometimes it's nice just to get 4 games in. So I think it fits right into that kind of happy medium for me. But time will tell, what number 16 is. Uh-oh. And I don't think this will surprise you. You knew this was coming.
Yeah, I did.
Everyone is coming. This is new. And this is another one. I think this is the other one I say that falls into talk to me next year where this lands. Talk to me next year where this lands. But this is that time you killed me. And I want to talk a little bit about this game. Peter C. Hayward was on the show the other night, and we had a great chat. And I will tell you, when that time you killed me came out, I was surprised by it. I mean, you look at it, it looks like 3 levels of chess, very basic. It's so much more than that. There's 4 boxes. You've had a chance, Ryan, now to play 1 or 2.
I played one.
Played one.
I saw
And as
2.
I've said, I think as you get to the second box, it really evolves. The third box continues that, and then the fourth box changes the game and flips it on its head. And I think you go through the process of this one, and once you do that, it's something will click or something won't click. For me, it clicked, and I fell in love with this game. And in talking to Peter on Creators Corner, he was talking about, yes, he watched like a 4-dimensional game of chess, and ultimately was like, what the heck is this? And he wanted to make it more fun, almost is kind of what he was getting at. And I think he did it really well here in a very unique way with this idea of time travel that you are, and I love the story here. You are 2 time travelers. One of you invented time travel. The other is his friend, his or her friend, and you're trying to kill that person. Because you want to take credit for time travel. Yeah. So if you win this game, you are actually not the good guy, but it's definitely very different, and it's hard to say too much without spoiling, but I can say the game continues to evolve between every box, but the replayability is endless. So it's a win-win in my book. And again, this one is near and dear to my heart right now. My son loves playing it with me. So this gets a lot of plays and will continue to get a lot of plays here in 2022. Now talk to me in a year and see where this falls. This has the same potential to me as Rolling Realms, where this could move up or go down and fall off the list. It depends very much on what comes out and what happens with this game. This game is, in my opinion, ripe for expansion opportunity, and that will not be a bad thing in my book.
Yeah. I still need to play the rest of the boxes. I don't think it's necessarily fair for me to rate it off of the first one. But I will keep it at that, I guess.
Yeah. No, Mr. Coach Porter, I'm interested in that, but I'm less in chess-like games these days. The more toot aspect is intriguing, though. And it is.
Yeah. And that's where I land on this Mr. Coaster.
Yeah. I
think,
yeah, I could. Again, it's something, unfortunately, the hardest part is talking about it, I think, because I don't want to ruin like every next box. Like I want people to go through it in that way.
So, all right. So it's got that chess-like vibe going on, right? Because as soon as one of your figures is gone from the board, that's it, right? Because there's 3 boards.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at these boards, there's much more than happening than these chess pieces on the board. There's going to be other things going to the board at times. Yeah. But what I will say is this. The neat aspect is the going back in time and then creating clones. So you get more and more pieces on the board. You win, hypothetically, when there is a space in time that has no one.
Spoil the first box, I think.
Yeah. Well, the first box is not really a spoiler. You're going to open the box. If anyone doesn't want to hear it, I'm going to give you this chance. We're going to talk about it for a minute here. The first box, it has a theme of essentially growth.
Yeah.
Right. And you're planting trees and they're able to grow into the future. And they have these cool options. Like you knock down a tree and it can on the person, it that's going to kill them. There's the concept of blocking the way, and you can walk through the seed piece. But that's the first box, and that's just the beginning of the game.
But it's important to note, sorry to interrupt you, but in the past board, which is the far left one, that's where you plant the seed. Then the middle board gets like the little mini tree. Yeah, and then the third gets the big giant tree, and that's the one you could drop on. That's so the future is the darker side on the right, the middle is the present, and the left is the past. So you plant a seed, and then that seed goes into the present board as a little bush.
But you could plant a seed. The neat thing is you could plant a seed in the present and only get a shrub in the future. So you've got a lot of capabilities in how you want to do it, but you could do it just to block it so someone can't get to you because you got 2 actions per turn.
Yeah.
So it's limited, but it is again, I think it's an experience. You play through it. I personally like the second box.
Yes,
he did. It's
good.
He killed me with a tree. He did. He was very excited about that.
I'm excited about that. That's great.
It's different. And I definitely encourage people to check it out. Play through the 4 boxes, see what you think. Anyone who's local to me will have that opportunity. That is for sure. But yeah, and then that the aspect sounds fascinating. I've seen the first Siren. What else there could be is great.
And that's the draw for me. Let me see the rest of these boxes. Let me see where this is going to go, because it can go one of two ways for me. So
yeah,
we'll see.
the second box is my favorite. I will just say that. I haven't played with the third box enough. That's the only thing I will say. I think you're gonna like my next one. I will say that. My next one, we played a similar game to this. We need to finish it really poorly in terms of execution on that end for me, you, and Squirrel. Unfortunately,
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but this one is the one that I played first and that I love more than anything. I could not rate the legacy version because of one play.
Is it mine too?
No.
It is mine too. That is also my favorite Clank.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is yours favorite. That's right. Yeah. So Clank in space. Clank in space. I like the space theme. I just think they did some things in this one that I like a little bit better. I think the theme helps me a little bit. I love the sci-fi stuff in there. There's definitely some Doctor Who references and other stuff that get me excited. The first Clank obviously has a ton of expansions, but Clank in Space has a fair share now.
Yeah.
So I think, they both have a wealth of cards at this point, but the in space one for me just hit. I forget. I think I played this at Con in Connecticut. Okay. I don't even know if it's still happens, to be honest, because I don't know what happened with the pandemic, but I played it there, and this falls in a category of maybe 3 or 4 games that I played and bought immediately, which I don't do often. Like at the table, I played and I bought it. So that's to me, that tells me I like the game a lot. I don't play this one nearly enough.
That was my experience at PAX Unplugged. I played it at PAX Unplugged and I bought it immediately. And I mean, there's definitely I see the strengths and disadvantages that Clank. And by the way, this is Clank in space, right? So that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. So the latter game, I prefer just because of the modular boards, whereas Clank has just the plain board.
One solid board.
Granted, I haven't done the expansions of base Clank, but I have done this one solo. There's a great companion app that you could play this solo, which I believe the base one does too. But anyway,
speaking of solo, we got Danielle who says Clank in Space is one I need to play again. Only played one time so far, but I did enjoy it. So yeah, that's solo mode right through the app. They do a good job actually with Renegade Games, and just some good stuff on the apps to give you more opportunities and make it easy to play. The thing about this one, if you have not played Clank or Clank in Space, you're sneaking through the ship. You want to get through. There's some places that are harder to get through than others, and there's obstacles. And then once you get into the vault, you're trying to get the treasure that you want and get out. The better treasures are deeper in, and you might not be able to escape in time, and that won't go well for you. So Josh was here saying, I played with Ryan. I ran out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that legit happened. And what's exciting about Clank in Space, in space, is it has that deck builder on top of something else vibe going to it. Like Mage Knight does that. Trains was a great one that has a deck building element with a board, and this one does it in such an excellent way. Like the entire Clank system, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, and in the end, look, I see some people prefer OG, some people prefer Clank in Space. I think no matter what way you go, I have heard Legacy is ultimately in the long run better than both. And we only played one round of Legacy, so I can't judge.
Can't judge.
We need to finish it. I'm owning it. We finish it in 2022. We get it done.
Okay.
I'm saying it on air. We got to get that done because I want to experience it. I got my own box. We can replay it again some other time.
I'm down.
So that's my number 15, Clank in Space. Now, you're not a big fan of my next one. I'm 90% sure, and that's okay.
You can say about the whole list. Don't worry.
Yes. That's all right. That's all right. I don't have any 18X games on here, so I don't.
Regardless of what games you pick, I always like playing games with you. Don't worry.
But this one,
even this next one, yeah.
Yes. Well, this one, I know this isn't on your favorites list, but generally speaking, you're not a roll and write, flip and write person.
Right.
So there's a few on this that you may not love, and that's okay. But This is Cartographers, or slash Cartographers Heroes. This one by Thunderwork Games. I play all the time. The solo capabilities of this, the ability to play with other people, the ability to make these maps. I think I actually get into the idea that I am a cartographer and I have fun with it. And I think Heroes is what kept it on this list, because I think this falls off without the Heroes expansion. But I think the Heroes, which is its own, so it's not really truly an expansion, it's its own. You could buy just Heroes. But I think Heroes adding a little bit of additional gameplay really upped it for me and maintained it on this list. And I've got the big box, I've got the play mat, I've got all the goods for this one. And I really enjoy this. I play it very often solo. I want to note it has a fantastic app. And the app I will play quite a bit too. And it's worth the money to pay for the app. That's where someone argued me, well, the app is great. Like, I could just play the app. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can understand it, because the app really is probably one of my top 3 apps. If I had to make an app list, this would be in my top 3 for board game apps. So
I'm going to come back to that. But before I do, what exactly, for those who don't know, what is Cartographers? Tell us about this game.
Yes, it is a wonderful game. But what do you actually do? So you're actually going to have 4 seasons in this game, and you're going to be drawing cards out, and they're going to have a landscape on them and a shape. And you're going to be drawing them on your map, trying to accomplish objectives. As you see, there's different seasons. On this particular one, you see it is in particular winter, which is the last season. And it is saying that DNA are the 2 scoring mechanisms for this round. So in the 4 seasons, and I flipped over B and C at this point in the game because they were done. But when you're doing this and you start the game, all of them will be up. So it's going to start with essentially A and B, then go to B and C. You're going through, you're going through and doing this. And when it comes down to it, you've got a lot of different ways to score. I think one of the complaints against this game is you do have to read the cards to make sure you understand exactly how the scoring works. You may have to think about it. And I understand that one, because I do think, when it comes, there is a lot to understand. And some of them may be like, oh, let me think about that one. But overall, I just think it's a ton of fun to play this. As you are drawing the cards out, I should note they have these numbers on them. And when you hit a certain number, you'll notice on that winter card, there's a 6. So when a 6 gets hit, you would then end the round and go on to scoring and then the next. There's monsters in there, by the way, which you do not want to have to deal with. When you're playing with people, you actually get to draw those monsters on someone else's board. And it's a lot of fun to do. There's that interactive component in that way, because you can be really, really annoying in that way. But in solo mode, it's very, you still got to put them on the board. There's still rules around it. You got to put them down, but it upgrades the monsters in Heroes to be much more challenging with certain abilities if they're still alive at the end of a round. And you're going to get negative points for the space around these monsters, goblins normally, and then these other types of monsters as you go into Heroes. So it's a great game for me. And I love it quite a bit. Brian talking about it way. For me, Heroes was a great addition after play Cartographers a lot. I'd recommend a slow progression to the expansions, so much to explore. And I do agree with that. I think you got to take in Cartographers. There's multiple types of maps now with the expansions and them adding more maps. There's a lot of variety, and online you can find some like map makers and stuff as well. They actually
why are they coming with maps? You're making maps. That's the whole thing about this game. You are a cartographer.
There's a variety. Trust me.
All right.
Replayability. That's what it is.
My 14, by the way, of last week was also an app-only game that I did. That was Through the Ages. So it's really funny that this app connection at 14. Anyway.
Yeah. And look, I agree. Mrs. Coaster chime in. I love Clank Legacy. She doesn't care for coppers, but she realized she's in a minority. And I think there's plenty who maybe don't love cartographers.
You're not alone, Mrs. Coaster, for sure.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's all good with me. I
Look,
will say,
yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna agree a little bit more on the next one, so
Okay.
we can celebrate that one.
I
But
still had fun with cartographers.
Yeah, I say we can get more again. We add it to the list for our change my mind.
Okay.
Because for those who don't know, by the way, we're gonna have an episode coming up of Change
2
My Mind,
weeks.
first one.
Yeah.
And he's gonna try and change my mind on Caverna. So Caverna is not on this list right now, but did you change my mind? We'll find out.
We'll find out.
So let's have some fun with the next one. Number 13, and it's a crossover.
Whoa, same number?
Same number.
Wow, good job.
And this is funny. This is how it mapped out when I had my papers galore here of things. There's like 7 pages here. But yeah, Marvel Champions. Holy crap, I love this game.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's in top 13, right? So Marvel Champions for me, I had Marvel Legendary. I didn't like it. I honest to God just did not like Marvel Legendary. I couldn't get into it. Marvel Champions came out and I found myself immediately going all in, not just for the sake of, but I started playing it. And it started because Captain America was in the base. I'm like, great, it gets to be Captain America. Very well balanced character in terms of design too. But I'm playing this game and I'm appreciating the characters they're putting out. The scenarios, it made it very playable. I could play this with someone like you who's well versed in games. My son loves playing with me and he's 8, right? So when I'm thinking about this is a game I can introduce to all ages. And no, it's not as scenario based in terms of like these long lasting scenarios where you're following this real in-depth story. But let's face it, the stories that heroes have in these comics sometimes can be pretty ridiculous and you can repeat them. And you can have some fun with it. I mean, we had a game the other day where we faced off against, it was Rhino, right?
Yeah, the easiest villain.
Preface. And he got some of the craziest flops I've ever, and I for the first time got knocked out of Marvel Champion and I still had a great time. And so I think that speaks to it because I win 50% of the time I play Marvel Champions maybe, but as Mrs. Coaster says, woohoo, I can do this all day and I can play this game all day. And I will play this game all day if anyone wants to.
I want to play it again. I was just organizing my cards the other day.
It is a great game. And I just think, again, if you're going to invest in Marvel Champions, it is a game where you have scenarios. You've got a villain and scenarios. You're going to be drawing from this deck each turn, and they're going to be attacking you at the end of a round. But on each turn, you're trying to attack the villain and defuse a scenario. And if if that ultimately that scenario hits a certain number, you're going to go, you lose. And it's pretty easy to teach, I think. And I think it's very accessible and it's got a lot of good characters. Now, no, Ryan Clements, it does not have Fantastic Four or Squirrel Girl, but we will let you know. But by that point, we'll have
I totally understand that sentiment.
Yes,
for
we do.
Sure.
But yeah, that's Marvel Champions. And I know there's a few Marvel Champion fans in that chat right now. So I appreciate them. That's all I'm going to say. My next one was introduced to me by Anthony, Board Game Dads, if he's still in the chat, and I did not expect to like it. In fact, I told myself I didn't like it before I played it, which was a mistake. I said, no way I'm going to like this. This is stupid. Why would this be a game? I was wrong.
Okay.
And it's not the theme for this one. It's the gameplay, something about it. It just works. And that is Wingspan. And I really do like Wingspan. I did not expect to like it. I fell in love with this game. My family loves this game. And you're going to find a trend. When I start to get a game that my family likes a lot and I'm enjoying, it starts to move up my list. And that's just part of it. Maybe that's the parenting, that's the dad, that's the husband in me. But this one for me just hit on so many levels. This is number one for many people. I don't think it's that good, But I think it's a well-designed game. I think obviously it looks great. There's an educational value with the birds in it, certainly. And I will say that this game just has worked on all levels. I have a Steam copy of it, and I've got the physical copy. And yeah, I will play this. If someone wants to play Wingspan, I will jump on this one. The Elizabeth Hargrave, whenever she's involved, obviously there's something good. This is the second Stonemaier game that is on this list. So clearly, if it's a Stonemaier game, there's a chance I like it. So there's two right there. So if you had a train counter, I guess I've got a Stonemaier game.
That's right. Yeah.
But,
I think I had 6 train games. So this is your second Stonemaier game. We're good.
And there's me with a bird that I added. I just had that photo, so I put it in.
What kind of bird is it?
I have no clue.
Well, what about this educational crap you gave me? Clearly, Wingspan's not working on you.
It was a bird at the zoo. So I'm holding, I got a popsicle. I don't know. I'll ask the bird people. I'll find it. I'll look for all the cards. They've got a cool app for this too. I forget who did it, but like you could like scan the card and it like gives you info, makes a bird sound. Like it's pretty neat. The engine building in this is just really good. It's a parakeet. There's my wife telling me it's a parakeet. See, thanks, honey. Thank you, dear. So it's a parakeet. There we go. But yeah, the scan the cards in the app to hear the bird songs is great. There's Mrs. Coaster talking about it. So yeah, that's Wingspan. I recognize this one. It's high on some people's list, and other people just say why. But that's why it's kind of in the middle for me on this one. It's not quite in the top 10, but I think when it first got into my list, it was high. And over time, I've just kind of realized, yeah, I like it, but it's not top 10 good for me. So
I haven't played it yet. And I feel like I'm one of the few people that haven't, to be honest, like that plays board games. I feel like a lot of people played Wingspan already.
It's a game that I think can open the door to board gaming for people. So I think that's the other reason. Look, this is my wife is saying it's in her top 10. So we'll have to get her top 10 on here sometime. Her official. Now you've heard it right there. That's in the top 10. So that's a good reason for me to like too. Because the family playing games matters. We've played this game many times, and we'll continue to play it for years to come. In my purview, I think this stays in the top 20 for a while, if I was to guess.
Okay. All right.
You have played my next one. I don't know how in depth at this point you've played it, but I know you've played it at least once.
Twice.
You know what I'm talking about?
I could talk about it for today.
This is Hadrian's Wall. Shem Phillips on the art there, Bobby Hill design, Garfield Games. I do love my Garfield games. Hadrian's Wall was the game that made me care about solo. And I have mostly played this solo. Hadrian's Wall, you are building together actions that hopefully builds together a nice engine. While you're also defending this wall and trying to get points, because every round, one of these cards at the top is going to come out, and some part of your wall is going to be attacked, certain parts, and you're going to have to be able to defend. You're also going to have cards that come out where you're going to get to pick. Ultimately, do I want to tuck this card and take that from a victory point perspective, or is this the card I'm going to take potentially, pieces off of? I'm going to get like maybe a blue and a yellow piece. Meeple, which have different capabilities and actions. It is a game that I remember being really excited about, and it met every expectation. This almost cracked the top 10. It came really close. I will say that it came really close, but this game is fantastic. It does have interaction when you play it 2 players. I prefer this solo. This is the game that made me appreciate that. Yes, solo is a way to play board games. And I really was not about that prior to only minor with one other game with that I had played solo from time to time. So this was a big one for me. Really big one.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually in the same boat as you when I was watching the rules videos and getting into the rule book. I was really excited about how the mechanics would work. And I thought this is exciting because it's got the combo thing that I like in these roll and write games, where you do something that unlocks something that unlocks something that unlocks something. And this does do that. I just feel like it goes a little bit too long. And I played it twice just to make sure, like, that was the first trial. Let me try it again. But in terms of roll and writes, you could definitely do a lot worse. And this one is not bad at all. I mean, I think it's in my 5 favorite.
I think
roll
it
and
might have made
writes.
your top 5 if I saw it.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
I know we've talked about doing top 5 playing each other's and ranking each other's top 5 roll and writes from our own purview. So
which this is your third roll and write on this list, I think, right?
Yeah, I do like roll and writes. I do.
Yeah. So I think that's your train game, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, and Brian did mention, I'll bring this back up. He says as he was replying, but Fleet the Dice has made him ready to play.
Yeah, I still need to try Fleet the Dice game.
And I did it the other way around. I played Hadrian's, then I did Fleet the Dice game. I liked Fleet the Dice game a lot, but it couldn't surpass Fleet the Dice game for a while. For a while was probably my number 2.
Yeah.
In terms of the heavier ones.
Yeah.
But I digress. Rolling Realms came into play too, as you saw.
I saw.
But that is my number 11. And then my number 10 is one I've had the pleasure of playing with you and with other people who are in the chat.
Oh.
And this one has worked its way up my list, and it was a tough one. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm talking about at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This was a tough one because I was debating 2 different games, and one hasn't got enough plays. This one has got plenty. That's why it's on the list. That's why even where it's at, it has the potential to completely drop off, in all honesty, or not completely drop off, but move way down and have something pop in front of it. And that is the Lost Runes of Arnik. I have a little bit of an issue with this game in the fact that sometimes I feel like there's just too much on the right side of his board in the base
research track.
Yeah, the search track, but that expansion in every way, I think, solves so much of it and added variability to it. And I was referencing this. I have not played enough Dune Imperium. Mm-hmm. I know I like Dune Imperium. If I play more Dune Imperium, you could see Dune Imperium fly up the list, quite frankly, and get ahead of Arnik. So I don't want to speak too much about Dune. This is about Arnik. I just really enjoyed this game when you get the expansion into play, and I am including it because I think I talk about the family here, which is those expedition leaders are so cool. I want to point out the Captain America, and the Falcon are right there, and below it is the Baron. Okay,
Baroness.
So it's essentially it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the top 3 because they're all there. But yeah. But no, I do like this one quite a bit. I feel like it is a game that has a lot of replayability, and the expansion only added it, and it needed the asymmetric powers for me to stay in to be in the top 20. By the expansion coming in, it added that, and I had it, and it kind of secured its staying power and skyrocketed up. So I've only been able to test the asymmetric stuff kind of, two-handed-ish just to try and do it.
Yeah.
And it works really well in my view. So for me, that was one thing I did prior. Easy to say. This is in my top 10 right now.
It's a great one for sure.
I hope it has the staying power to stay there, to be honest, because
I think so. I think so. Honestly, the comparison with Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak, I think both are really solid entries, and they both just came out the same year. They both scratch that itch of worker placement, deck building.
They do, but they are very different. So I almost feel
they are different for sure.
I feel I don't mean to say they're the same and trying to lump them together. It's more that I need to play Dune Imperium more, and I might like it a little bit more from the deck building perspective. But the games are very different. They're not, and they happen to be 2 games that came out at the same time, and they have 2 new. They each have a new expansion, so there's the similarities just continue.
It's a really fun one, and that theme is great. I'm all about Indiana Jones stuff. Bring it on.
I know. But the buying of the cards is always fun, picking it out. They've got some fun art. It looks great on the table. Brian chiming in here, by the way, saying I played just a little solo only, and I like Arnik a little more. And that's how I kind of felt at this point. Liz chiming in saying Arnik is really good. I do like the Falcon leader. I didn't try the Falcon. I tried Captain, who I did.
Of course you did.
Yes, of course I did. Are you? Of course I did. Let me tell you though. My number 9 is one that, well, I don't think it will surprise you. I think some will say, well, this is really high for that. But this gets a ton of plays. I play this. This is probably my second or third most played game of the past 2 years. And I love this game. I think from a design perspective, this game has near perfection to it from a replayability perspective, from ease to teach people, and from that approachability standard that I have for, I do want people to play games with me, and therefore I want a game I can easily get on the table. And let me tell you, I love Azul.
Yeah.
And I had the hardest time with this because I was trying to say, is it OG Azul or is it Summer Pavilion? And in the end, I kept going back to Azul. It's an elegant game. Summer Pavilion, I would take any day of the week too, but I am saying OG Azul. This game is simple. The design is straightforward. And when it comes down to it, I mean, outside of making sure you don't eat the red pieces thinking they're starbursts,
the whole thing looks like starbursts.
I know, especially those red ones. Actually, it always bugs me that the red ones don't have like a design on them or the blue one. I'm like, no. So I have some extra pieces. But yeah, this game I play constantly. And I just think from a design perspective, there's very few games that I can take to the table, have very few questions for people on how to play, and just get to playing this. And so for me, Azul is a winner in that book. I think it's a masterpiece from a design perspective, and it's a classic, a modern classic, as I think it's a fair word. I don't like
no
using
question
that
about
word.
that.
Yeah. I don't like using the word modern classical that much, but I think this qualifies.
But it's true. I mean, it's got that Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, Catan family, Yeah. If I were to because you yourself, you donate a lot of board games to your local library. This is totally a library game. This is totally an entry gateway board game. This is definitely one that you could bring to your family if you want to show them something that has a little bit more to it, and it's great. The theme works. The pieces are awesome, and it's so angry when people take your coaster. I'm sure it's where Mr. and Mrs. Coaster get their name from, of course, from the Azul coasters, right?
I don't worry if you're terrible at this, having not played it much, because I think it takes a few turns. That's what I'm saying. Play this game, you can get used to like that style of the way it's played, but there's some luck involved, obviously, with what's available, but you kind of know where you need to fill. I think the big thing about this game from a scoring perspective is you get to score 2 points, and the game will end when you do this. For every row you complete, for every column you complete, you get even more points. And if you get all 5 of one type of piece in, 10 points there. And it's a big one. I had 2 full complete ones the other day in a board game reading game, so I got 20 points from that alone. I still came in second by like 5 points. But it's a wonderful game. And the question was asked, have I tried Stained Glass with Sinatra? I have not. I need to try that. I've heard it's not as good as the other 2, but I will, let myself decide that, and I will intend on trying the next iteration, though it doesn't sound like this. It's a much deeper, it's a different game. It doesn't feel like, I know it's in the Azul series, but the next one coming out has a lot more to it. So I don't feel like it's going to be the same type from what I've seen. And I say goodnight to Board Game Dads, and have a good night to you, sir. Thank you for coming by. But yeah, actually, Brian does point out this one, because I talk about Board Game Arena. This is a great starting point. You can play this with anyone. Anyone. And teach them, and it's a lot of fun. So that is my number 9.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I definitely love that one. So it is, again, one I play a lot. And this next one I have not played a lot, Ryan. I have not. But despite that, it made my list, which I think speaks to the quality of this fine game.
Oh, hey.
Crossover.
Crossover number 2?
Yes.
I predicted 2. Let's see if that's the case.
Yeah. This is Brass Birmingham.
Yes,
I fell in love with this game about halfway through my first game when I figured out what in the hell I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to play again. And that was when I knew this game was good. And then we play online later. We did it in some other way. And I fell in love with this game. There's so much to this game. And the idea that it's played in 2 stages, 2 eras, essentially, where, we had to completely play the game and then play it again, which sounded on paper, I think when you said it, awful. I'm like, why? Yeah. Why would we do that?
Right.
But it's so good. And the idea that sometimes you're going to take resources from someone only to have them then get victory points or something else. It's got a great competitive balance to it. And
hey, that's the positive player interaction you were talking to me about the other day.
Yeah, it was. I love that. That was a topic someone brought up on Twitter, positive player interaction. That's right. That is a positive player interaction. It's a great engagement. But I look at this, the pieces are great, the board looks great. I have not, before anyone asked, played the other version of this or the Lancashire. But Brass Birmingham is definitely high on my list. I don't own it because you own it. And I don't feel the need to buy it. Sure. But this is a game I would own if it came in. And really the way this game is playing is you're laying out your pieces, you're creating your routes, you're getting access to these cities so you can get these goods. And I really found that when you played this through and then the game flipped over, because what happens in this game is when it does flip over, it's new technology. So technology, if it was not upgraded quite a bit, goes away.
Yeah.
And you're like, and so you really need to think about what you're doing in that first round of this game.
It's a game that I look forward to playing every time I finish it. I just want to play it again.
Yeah.
And that's not for a lot of games, honestly.
No.
Especially a game as heavy as this can be. I just want to play Brass again as soon as it's done. You're talking about Brass. I'm going to play Brass right now. This is a great game.
Yeah, and so it's hard to put it all in a nutshell, but I think that's the biggest thing. It's a game played over 2 rounds. You're building up your routes and your technologies, and so only certain generations are going to go through to the next round. But
and there's beer.
There is beer. There is beer. But I think there's more to come on this one. So if people are interested when they want to talk more about it, we can dig even deeper. I will say, Ryan, one of the reasons we've done the format for this video as we did is because we can talk a little bit more about it, which is nice as opposed to just skipping over things.
I think this should be is this game for you? For sure.
I don't question that. I think this is this game for you? And hell, let's throw a live playthrough in.
Whoa. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Are you kidding me? That's an excuse to play it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of supply and demand in this one, and then you got to create the buildings that you're going to get points from. But I still think it is that factor that you're creating the buildings, and then someone else may take the goods, and therefore, because they've now used those goods, that building's completed, but you get the points, and you could give someone the win if you're not too careful. So you got to be very mindful in this one. But
so good.
That is Brass Birmingham. I love it.
And it's Birmingham.
There you go.
I've been corrected many times when I say Birmingham.
There you go. Well, thank you for correcting
Now today I am correcting you.
Yes. It's a twisted world that we live in. I do want to say hi. I see Sarah's here. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining. Yes, we got some lovely familiar faces here, so I appreciate you popping over. I'm going to talk about my number 7 now.
Before you do, though, yeah, I do want to recommend for anyone in the chat right now, as we get closer to our top 5, if you have a top 5 and you want to share it, go right in, because we're doing that at some point, I believe.
We will
right?
share at right before we get into our top 5. I'm going to share some tweets.
Yeah.
And so some people did share their top 5 who didn't do it with yours. We got some additional ones, and whoever's here who hasn't shared in the past, please go ahead, share your top 5, drop a list. We want to see them. So, yeah. But I will share my number 7. This number 7 will not surprise anyone. If they've watched the channel, person in this room is going to get very excited because they taught me the game. Not you necessarily, a person in the chat.
Okay.
Not you. You did not. That is Cascadia. This skyrocketed up my list. It knocked Calico completely off the list. Goodbye, Calico.
That's my cat swipe.
Yes, that's your cat swipe. Cascadia. My wife, if she's still in the chat, will tell you this game probably on her top 10. This game is so much fun. I love puzzly games. That is no secret. I love a little puzzle. And the idea of this game being mapping out your puzzle with the scoring that is available in that particular game. And you can see some of the scoring here. It's essentially these pattern-based scoring methodologies. So maybe you want to get a certain animal surrounded by all different sorts of animals, or have your birds, all those birds, kind of in a particular style path separated from one another.
That's those cards up there.
Yes, that is all those cards. So you can see, for example, it might be a group of bears. It might be you have the salmon in a certain pattern going down. The salmon are a lot of fun always, because the salmon are usually following some path with one another. But you're drawing tiles, and when you draw tiles, you're also going to be picking up one of those little tokens, and you're going to have to place it somewhere. If you can't place it for some reason, that would go away. But generally speaking, that shouldn't be an issue. And that is the way you're kind of building your board. But you're also trying to have the largest areas of different habitats. So there's a lot of different ways that you are going to score. Mm-hmm. And so there's those habitats. The largest habitats are going to score for you. You have the largest of one, you're going to have an opportunity there. And then obviously the mechanisms that I did. And yes, this is my second crossover with my wife, the unplanned segment of the night, which is apparently, actually that might be my son, who is probably still awake, because it says, love it in my top 5, Des. So I guess my son loves it. Okay. It's in his top 5. So crossover with my son. But yeah, this game is a lot of fun. It is freer if you've played Calico. You're not as in a tight space, and I think that's a good thing. This is, I think, really an interesting comment, and interesting to show. I want to point this out because I do think some people aren't going to be into these per se. I like Cascade better than Calico, but nothing stops me. Maybe I'm still waiting for the Bigfoot Yeti to show up. Man, I'd be cool
for that. I'd be like a cryptid edition, Cryptadia.
Yeah, I'm down for Bigfoot and Yeti. Sarah does love it though. Love Cascadia. Love that it has a way to level up or level down based on who you're playing with. That's true. There's a family mode too, so you can immediately start with the family mode, which is a really basic way to play for anyone who's not played the game before, and it's super easy. And
I'm excited to try this one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I have played this now many times, and this has staying power in my book, at least until Verdant comes out, apparently, and maybe Verdant will knock. But I think this one has staying power, because I think Verdant is a little bit of a different game. We will see. And Cascadia, my number 7. And nice. I do like Calico still, for the record. It's still
Calico's the cat one.
Yes,
it's similar, but it's limited.
Not really.
It's got the board.
It has a Calico cat kind of, but yeah. Yeah. I do have this comment about the metagame role. Yes, it did. As I think I said to this, just for those tuning in, I said its staying power is in question. I think that depends on Jamie and what he does and the community. So I really do love that one, but we will see. My next one, Ryan, is my oldest game in my top 20. Okay. Oldest game. There is no game published before this one that follows. And this is
it in the 2000s?
2000s. Yes.
Okay.
2000s. You may know the answer. But this is one that I really like. And it's obviously I like it. That's not a question. It is in a series of games, if you didn't know before. So that's another hint. It's in a series of games, and I think this is the best in the series. And for me, it is a game that is timeless, and I will play, and I will classify it as a modern classic. This is the only other one I will use that term on, because again, I don't really like to overuse that. That is Ticket to Ride Europe. I really do love this game. I think it is the perfect Ticket to Ride. It has everything. It's just enough without being too much. My daughter clearly likes it because she decided to pop in when I took this photo and would not let me not take it without her. She makes the game look even better as far as I'm concerned, because she's adorable.
Yes.
But this game, I have the 15th anniversary edition. I waited for the 15th anniversary edition. I could play this game on repeat. If you say I only could own one Ticket to Ride, it's this one.
Yeah.
And it adds just enough more while still being I think just a well executed game from a design perspective. Still easy to teach. And when it comes down to it, it is just by far and wide the best Ticket to Ride. I would not put any other Ticket to Ride near my top 20, let alone probably my top 30 or 40. So I for me, it's high standard, but I just think this deserves to be there. And I like the idea that this does add some variety, but it doesn't completely overhaul the game. You could still kind of teach this, I think, to anyone and start with Ticket to Ride Europe. I don't think you need to play Ticket to Ride. So,
yeah.
And my wife says she hasn't played it. She did play it. She's not remembering. I'm telling you, honey, you played it. We played it once.
Ticket to Ride Europe is the one Ticket to Ride that's never leaving my collection either, for sure.
Yeah. And I recognize some may say, well, that's really high for Ticket to Ride Europe, but I will,
that's a great one.
As I said before, like it's
your list, man. Own it.
Yeah. But as I said before, I think this is the biggest thing for me is everyone has this different personality. These are our favorite games. There is no true definitive one list to rule them all. And for me, this one holds high for a good reason. And that is Ticket to Ride Europe. Again, Days of Wonder did a masterful job with that one. And that will forever be. I
have the 15th as well. And I think we're doing a video soon-ish about teaching the expansion. Yeah. By the way,
there was a question based on an earlier game, which was, I keep seeing the Port Royal Big Box sale is worth the extra money to get it. Well, here's the thing. If you don't own anything for Port Royal, I think there's a good bang for your buck in that box. And it has some stuff that I couldn't get before. There's like some promo card stuff in there, as well as an expansion that I don't know, and don't quote me on this, but I don't think was easily available in the United States. So for me, it's worth it. I'm happy to chat with anyone about that one if they think it's worthwhile. But also, if you want to try it out on Yukata, it's on Yukata. So I'm happy to set up a game on that with anyone. It's a great.
I'm ready. Ready.
He's ready. So that's 3 right there. Who else wants to join? We'll set it up. That again, that was looking at quite a few games for me here. So before we proceed ahead to go to my top 5, I think it's a good time. I have a surprise, Ryan.
Oh, geez.
I have a surprise. I wanted to note some honorable mentions because I thought it was important. And these are some that I did not include, but they were on my mind and I felt it was important to note them. And that is Newton. I love this game, Newton. It's a beautiful game.
It's a good game.
I have not played it enough. I didn't feel it was justified. Tavern falls into the same thing. It's a great game. I got it it was a gift for Christmas, and it just hasn't busted out to the table.
I need to play that.
I've played it many times I played at the board game shop a few times. So Three Sisters is new. I have not played it enough. It did not feel fair to rank it this high just yet. This very well. I didn't get enough plays to feel at enough counts. So I want to play it more. And Robinson Crusoe. I never play this game enough because one, outside of you, I know no one who wants to play it.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
But two, it's brutal.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
you better be prepared to lose because you're probably going to. But I'm very excited. And I think what they've added to this game with what's coming out, more scenarios, maybe make it more accessible, and hopefully more people want to play this because I think it's a brilliant game. Yeah. So
It's a great one. I played it a lot last year because it was part of my 10x10, and I am looking forward to the updated Kickstarter for sure with everything because it's a game that does excel when you have a lot of things going on with it. It's just because it's a sandbox kind of game.
it is,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. I didn't include, say, Western Legends, but Western Legends, if I had more chances to play it, I feel like it would be high.
We should play that.
That's another one, but you need 5 people. So that was a lot of the challenge. I'm sitting here, by the way. Also, I did want to hold this up. Radlands.
Yeah.
This came in more recently. That was in the last month or so. And I will say, I'm going to love this. I can already tell, but I haven't played it. So I don't know where it falls. And I'm going to like it. I can already tell from going through. But at this point, I wanted to bring up, and if everyone has the top 5, I saw a few of you drop, but if you have a top 5 that you want to share, please get it ready. I'll go back through and Ryan can find those, but I wanted to share some of the ones that we did see. I see Riley's here. I believe he has replied earlier today. Riley had said number 5, The Reckoners, near and far for his number 4 with Amber Mines expansion. Arkham Horror, the card game. Marvel Champions, and then Spirit Island. So there's some crossover right there. All games new and old, Quirky Circuits, Dice Masters, Mansion of Madness. Some good ones there. You've got some Arkham Horror in there.
3rd edition. I haven't played that one yet. Yeah.
Storm Chaser Games chimed in, who was guests on the channel last year. They're number 2, by the way, Three Sisters. So they're on my mindset there. And Cascadia is on their list as well. And look, Greg dropping in there with the Cascadia as well. Maglev Metro, by the way, I've heard great things about. I have not had a chance to play it.
I had a horrible experience. We'll see. I'll try it again, I'm sure, at some point. But
we do have some people,
and I don't mean horrible experience because who I played it with. Squirrel, it's not because of you. Don't worry. I just didn't like the game. I love you, dude. And I'm going to pull his list up. He sent it over here. His 5 is Glenmore 2. His 4th is Scythe. His 3rd is Lost Ruins of Arnak. 2nd is Teotihuacan, City of Gods. I said that correctly. And number 1 is Rococo, which, yeah, Rococo is so good.
Yeah, no. So feel free to drop your top 5s in there. Oh, this is clearly my son because I know my wife's is not Marvel Champions. So my son is still awake upstairs. It's
It's a school night. Pretty cool. You're a cool dad.
I let him stay up for, fine stuff. Marvel Champions is my son's number 1, apparently. So there you go. I know that's my son because my wife's number 1 is not Marvel Champions. I promise you. So I know that much. But yeah, that was my small break because we have got number 5.
Okay.
Coming through.
These are the ones that matter.
These are the top 5. And so as I get into these, excited to chat about them, but let's just get the ball rolling.
Oh, no way.
Crossover.
Yeah.
There it is. The crossover before I do that, hold on. My son's chimed in. It's important to share this because he's my son. I'm biased. Yeah. Marvel Champions, Cascadia, and You're a Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a great one.
Good choice.
Yeah. So Battlestar Galactica, number 5. I love this game. I've always loved this. I've had it. I didn't get a chance to play it much for a few years. Got a chance to play it again. You were in there. Squirrel was in there.
He's in the picture, I think. I'm pretty sure that's his pants.
Yes, I think that's Squirrel's pants. I'm glad you noticed that. It's Squirrel's table. I know that.
Yes.
This is just such a fun game for me. And the experience of playing Battlestar Galactica is just something unlike. I talk about all the time on this channel my experience playing, say, Betrayal at the House on the Hill. That is upped 10 times with quality gameplay, much better constructed. It's not perfect, but better constructed. Because I think they fixed some things along the way with expansions. But I think the world you're in this one is perfect. I get it. Unfathomable's out there. I don't care about Cthulhu. I don't. I really can't get into it. This is perfection. And you get into it, and when you suddenly realize you put someone who you shouldn't have in the brig, and the Cylons are taking over, and then someone reveals themselves as a Cylon, I mean, this game gets out of control.
Yeah,
And
it does.
it is a great experience. And you will at times like almost be like, I mean, I lost the complete trust of someone I just met when we played this one. He's like, you're a Cylon. No, you're a Cylon. And I think I put the wrong person in the brig, but
You did.
we did escape, I think, with the victory. In
Yes,
this one.
you did.
So, but it is a experience game. Even if you play this once or twice a year, you will have got your money's worth, especially since you can't get this game right now. So I think that's part of it. But I think
it's a fantastic game. And if you're a fan of the show and you're into board games, there's really no reason why you shouldn't play this unless you can't find it, because that's the real reason. But just know there are people that do have it that are likely close by that would love to play this with you, because you need exactly 5 people for this.
They probably want to play it, but yeah, get the 5, and they probably want to play it because it does need a crazy amount of people.
And my friend Josh, he reminded me that I do have Admiral Adama's autograph. I have Edward James Olmos autograph on his player card, and that's currently sleeved in my box over there. But I can't get out of this chair because I'm wired, and it would break a lot of things.
But yeah, that game, man, let me tell you, I've got it. I have the first expansion now, thanks to Squirrel. And I think when it comes down to it, it's just a really enjoyable experience. That base game is enough for me, to be quite honest, but I couldn't pass up on the expansion with the opportunity but it's still like, it's a game. If you tell me, let's play Battlestar Galactica, I will plan weeks in advance. Yep. Let's do it. Let's get it to the table.
It's so good.
Have it set on the table, ready to go.
And it's so memorable. It's so memorable.
I think that's the thing. When I talk about board games, I talk about, again, on this channel, joy. What joy does it bring? What's the story you tell from it? That's a game that a story comes out of.
And I do have to chime in, because you did say it was a perfect game, and I agreed to some regard, and that's because I don't think mechanically this game is perfect at all.
Let me make sure
capturing the feel is perfect.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I don't think mechanically. I think they try to fix some of the mechanical issues with the expansions. I don't know if they accomplish it.
I don't know.
But I think compared to, I love Betrayal at the House on the Hill, but that game can be a wonderful experience or a mechanical mess.
It's a beautiful mess.
Yeah, this is not that. Got it. That's what I mean. Mr. Coaster was saying, I always tagged as silent because I laugh a lot when people give me the stare. I'm really not sideline. And Riley chiming in, mixed reactions on Unfathomable being similar enough to replace on a needed basis. No one's a Cylon here, apparently. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not. Look, we're down to the final 4. And
hey, Battlestar, keep it going. Final 4.
Yeah, we're done enough. We've done enough of these that you know some things that might be in here. And I wonder what you'll think of the order, because I bet you can figure out some of the ones that are coming.
I'm pretty sure I know your top 2.
My top 2 probably obvious at this point. If anyone's watched the channel, they probably know it. If you haven't, it's a great chance to get to know me. What's better than Battlestar Galactica? Look, you're going to see what I like better than Battlestar Galactica. Part of it, by the way, is Battlestar Galactica get to the table is immensely challenging, and I do take that into consideration. But my number 4, I love this game. I love this game. Imperial Settlers, Empire of the North. Now, before anyone asks, I have not played the Imperial Settlers. I have not. I've only played Empires of the North. I have every expansion for this one. And I love all the different decks of cards that you have, all the ways they play completely differently. This is a game where you've got a deck of cards that you're going to be playing with, and you're going to be taking actions to score points in a variety of ways based on your deck, because they are all drastically different with different difficulty levels. One of the actions you can take is to sail out to sea to visit these islands and send your ships out There's even a faction that actually has more ships or like an extra ship. So it might give you an advantage there. But when it comes down to it, this is the type of game that just calls to me. The unique deck, that gives it its really just, I don't know, a special feel. And I will buy up every expansion for this when it comes out. My son is guessing number 1 already. But
I want to play this with you. I have a feeling I'll like it.
It's fun. I don't know that this would be in everyone's top 10. I can't say that, but
it's not.
For me, it's hit a nail on the head, and the cards are just, because every game is so different, because the combinations of what factions they are. There's one faction that does have a take that factor that's really all its goods are what it steals from other people, practically. So like you can play a lot of different ways, and there's a solo mode in this. It's kind of where you're trying to accomplish certain things.
Which faction is this that we're looking
this
at
one?
right now?
Oh, the name is slipping my mind off the top of my head here. This one is one that my son always likes because it's got the penguins. So I threw this one up. It's a great little game. I will say there's an engine you get going where maybe you've got a bunch of workers out. You play a card to get workers back. All to use the workers on another card. So you can really get an engine moving depending on the cards you put out. And again, everything plays different. So I think you can just try out new things. I have a lot of cards for this game, and it is sleeved, which is not every one of my games. So that goes to tell you I like it, and I feel the cards need to be protected. So
you have to show me how to play this game.
I will.
Sure.
I will. But yeah, that is my number 4.
And that's best with 2, right?
No, I like it with 3. Yeah? I like it with 3. It does play fine with 2. I like it. It plays fine with 3 or 4. I think when you get to 4, you've just got a lot of people thinking, but you're taking one action at a time. So we have some guesses coming in, by the way. Some people saying, my son's saying my number 1 is going to be Scythe. Okay. Liz asking if Raiders of the North Sea has already been said, or if that's going to be my number 1. So apparently we're getting some projections coming in here.
Okay.
But I can share my number 3, which will not surprise anyone.
Oh,
it's Targi.
Yeah. Why didn't I even think of this? You're right.
Yeah, Targi. I love this game. I probably, when I enjoy this game so much, I play this all the time on Board Game Arena. I play in person. I've got the completely, upgraded set of everything for this, which just adds such a great feel when I pick up the metal coins and all that jazz. You're building a tableau of 4 rows of 4. You're scoring 2 points for rows that have all the same type of card. 4 points for that. 2 points if they're all varied, and all the cards have different point values as victory points as well. You need to play your meeples down along the border. There's a robber out there, though. However, you can't play where that robber is. And when you're doing it, the spots where they intersect, you're also going to play your pieces down, and you're collecting goods. You're buying cards. You can hold a card and play what's called the noble action to play that card.
Yep.
You'll get cards that give you discounts, and you need the gold, because if you notice at every corner, you need to pay something. You're paying something at that point. So you've got a lot to manage in this one. I cannot claim to be perfect at it. I just love playing it. I am on a 100 game challenge where I want to play this game 100 times this year with someone I know, be it there's many wonderful people in this chat I'm playing games with. Mr. Coaster right now, I believe I have a game going with. And I just enjoy this game. I think it's simple enough to teach someone. And if you flip over these cards, I was mentioning this the other day in a video, flip over the cards. It tells you exactly what they do. You don't need to go just by the iconography.
Yeah.
So you can see, oh, this is raid. Oh, look, this is you trade 3 resources for a gold coin. And again, beautiful game. There is an expansion. I have still not played it. And
neither have I.
Shelf of same. So,
well, I'm going to chime in about Targi for a little bit, because I know you adore this game, and I think so, because I know the kinds of games that you like are very similar. you like what I like in games, which is the constant change and tactical decisions as opposed to the big overall strategy. And this game delivers that in spades, right?
Yeah.
Because you're constantly changing your strategies and what you want to do, because you're literally getting conflict. You're literally getting confined to the spaces that you can actually use, because your opponents are also placing these pieces on the board, and it's kind of like a dance in a board game. It's a perfect couples game. Perfect couples game, because it's very much like a back and forth kind of thing, and it just works so well. Like, I really adore this one. It's great it's great for exactly what it is. You want a great, like, light to middle weight 2-player game.
Yep.
This is a fantastic choice. I'm happy with your number 3.
Yeah, and there are some blank spots there because we were refilling it. Ryan's recommending Merv. Merv is actually on my Christmas list this year, so Merv is actually on my watch list. I do want to try Merv. I really do want to try Merv.
I do want to try Merv too.
Yeah,
and I believe that's the same guy that did Kalamala, and I want to try Kalamala too.
Yeah, but this one, I love this game. So the big question seems to be coming from people: Scythe, Raiders of the North Sea. Neither's been mentioned yet, and both I talk about all the time. So just to kind of go through my process really quickly, I was talking and thinking about this. I definitely like a lot of different types of games, but you can find a common trend. My number 2, though, I will say, is one that I do talk about, and it is one of those two. It is one of those two. So you can guess the other ones coming up as well. But just to confirm, my number 2 is Raiders of the North Sea.
Okay.
So Raiders of the North Sea, I have this pile. Just to show I like Shem games. So there may be some bias in my purchasing of games, Garfield games and Renegade games. I get a lot of them. They're sitting behind me. Raiders of the North Sea, as I say this, I like this with both of the expansions. I know people tell me, get Raiders of Scythia. It combines the best of both worlds. Well, here's the deal. And I'm just going to be real here. I like the Viking theme. I really do. I don't know what the Scythia thing, it's fine. It's fine. But I like the Viking theme. When you add the 2 expansions to this game, I just feel it adds so much to it that it does become a bigger game, right? And I like it I like the base game as is. If I'm introducing the game, I can introduce it with one of the expansions, and it's going to be playable. I like the action in this game that you place a meeple and you remove a meeple. So you're taking 2 actions. So you're taking a turn very specifically. You're trying to go out and you're recruiting a crew. And then as you're recruiting a crew, you're going out to sail out and try to go to these places. You have required amounts of crew for different locations and goods. You spend those and you go out, and sometimes you lose a person. There's a great character who actually, every time he dies, he comes back to your hand. And so you get, I have played where I get 2 of those, to be honest, before. And it's been fantastic. The game, for me, generally is taking 45 minutes to an hour in a 3-player game, because when we play it, we know how to play it and it goes pretty quick. I think the turnaround that can be pretty quick. I do like, again, the big thing being that takeaway of place and put down, the Valkyrie concept. The Champions of Midgard, I should note, a very popular game, was one of my favorites. It was. And this replaced it for me. They're different games. I know that's dice chucking. I just liked this one better in the end. And Champions of Midgard, which I have completely upgraded, I don't really play anymore. And this one's kind of taken ownership in terms of my number 2 spot. The expansions do add some different things into them. They add there's the Fields of Glory. There's this where you're adding this alcohol into the brew, because you essentially add the beer. And I think they up the game quite a bit as you play. If I was to show it to you, Ryan, because I know you played this, I would say, let's add the expansions. Yeah. And that's what we would do. We'd try it that way. But for me, when I introduced it, base game very often to start, I think Raiders of North Sea, just a really beautiful game. The thing I should point out, when you do go down and you raid those places, you're getting a replacement meeple back. So you're getting new meeples back that take different actions. So I like that. Like you're constantly getting, and the game is evolving as you're playing. So there is still that flexibility that you talked about. You have to realize, oh, I really need that meeple. So I'm going to go here to get that meeple. Maybe I don't necessarily want that thing, but I need that meeple. And so you kind of think about it, the resource you want versus the meeple you need. And I think that helps you strategize a little bit. So that's for me. I liked one. I know this wasn't your favorite.
It's not.
I know it. And that's why I had to say it. But I know
it has to be one. This has to be a change my mind episode for sure.
Yeah, I think we bring it in and you try some of the expansions.
Yeah,
and you can dig into them a little bit more.
Because that mechanic you brought up of the you put a meeple, you take a meeple, it came to such a grind in my game, like in my playing of this, and it took me out of the game. And I hope the expansion can help out with that.
I think part of it too. I think if this is like any game, if you played with someone who doesn't like go over some of the stuff well, and you're playing that, and it's like the choices they make that choice challenging. Like I do think this is a game where that mechanic is actually a ton of fun. I think it should be a ton of fun. But we'll have some fun with it.
I'm down to try it. I will give it the fair Caverna share.
Yes, you give it a fair shake.
Yes.
Look, my number one will come as no surprise at this point. This is, people knew Raiders was going to be on my list. I will say my number one is, of course, Scythe. And I have an end game here. It's just I found this random screenshot up in the right-hand corner. It's just a random like computer game I must have done at some point. Because I do play it on Steam. I have it on my phone, and I have it everywhere. I love this game. The iPad app is actually very good too for it. But this is a game where you have a really interesting starting faction of sorts with different capabilities, and you unlock those abilities when you are able to unlock your mechs. But it runs the cool thing with this bottom top row action. So you're really trying to optimize your first action with the bottom row action, so you can take as many different steps as possible towards victory. This game ends, it's important to note, when someone has the 6 stars. So it's just going to flat out end, and you may not want to end the game. Sometimes you may need more points. You're gaining points through area control. There is fighting in this. There is fighting in it, but it is not the most critical thing per se.
Yes,
you can only get 2 stars for it. So it's not like you all be all end all is fighting. And I think that's the misconstrued idea about this. Like, well, I wanted to fight because there's these awesome mechs.
Yeah.
But the mechs have another critical piece to them. The mechs can bring your workers places. So I think this game sometimes gets a bad rap from folks who want to fight. But if you look at this game from the area control perspective, from the resource collection where your workers are going to pull, but the more workers you have, the more expensive it is to have those workers get you the resources. And there's just so many different things at hand here. This also has, and Ryan mentions this, but Rise of Fenris, and Rise of Fenris is great. And I highly recommend people check it out. I have my own copy. It's unplayed. I've played through another one, but it is a wonderful expansion of a world. Scythe has some expansions. I could care less about the airships, etc. I don't care, but they're there. You can use them. But the additional factions.
That one's good. Invaders from afar, right? Yeah.
Invaders from afar. So add some different people. Fenris adds a lot of value. I will not say what it adds. I do not want to spoil it for anyone. If you're a fan of this game, you need to play Fenris. But in the long run, this is my number one. It's been my number one for a long time. And this stands on top for me. So, when it comes down to it, this is a doozy. This is my big winner. And for those who are wondering, that's
the full list.
That's my full list that I put together. So if anyone just wants to take a look at that, I'm pretty happy. It was a fun time making this list.
Mhm.
And there are definitely some ones I will say that I don't know if they're going to be there. There's some ones that are going to just stick around right around that 20 spot. The ones to watch for me, I will say, what happens to Rolling Realms? What happens to That Time You Killed Me? Both have tremendous potential either direction. I will say Scythe, good luck. It's not going. It'll be in my top spot, top 2 spots
For a
a
while.
long time.
Yeah.
It'll take. I don't know what it would take to take over that spot.
Eclipse.
It would take something big, man.
It would take Eclipse.
Yeah.
You should try Eclipse. That's awesome.
I'll try.
I like Scythe though for sure.
Yeah. I'll try it. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my top 20. It's been a fun process to do this. I have a list of, I don't know, there's a bunch on here. They're double-sided too. So 350, 400 games that I had ranked or not ranked, and I went through a process. So yeah, that'd be the top 20. Again, I'm going to make sure we get Liz back on here for another one because I appreciate her popping in on the chat despite the R&R in there, but that was appreciated that you stuck around with us. To anyone else who jumped in, I want to thank you as well. Certainly come on, hang out with us. We've got some more great content on the way. I know, Ryan, you've got a great Creators Corner coming up
tomorrow. Yeah, with Scott Peterson,
and
who's a big 18xx guy.
Yeah, so
publisher, designer.
But if you want 18X, check back in tomorrow night. And then next week, we're also going to have the 2 designers behind some of your favorite games. I'll tell you, Ben and Matt behind Fleet the Dice Game, Three Sisters, so many great games by them. So Ben and Matt are going to be on, and that'll be a lot of fun next week. So, and then don't forget, please, everybody, On the Table is back at the end of the month. Jeremy Howard is going to be joining Ryan and I for On the Table, our special guest for this month, and we could not be more excited to have Jeremy Howard on. So we hope you will join us for that. This has been my top 20. I thank you for playing along and sharing your games with us. And with that said, thank you for coming aboard the Tabletop Express. We will see you all very soon, and hopefully you'll come back tomorrow night to hang out with Ryan. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, all.